Welcome back to Notes Edition, where I read off my notes. This note is called Why No One Will Listen to You Talk About Bitcoin. The short answer is cognitive dissonance. To wrap your head around Bitcoin, you'd first have to deprogram your thinking around money itself, which leads to mental strain and ultimately pain, lots of pain. We are wired to avoid pain at all costs, yet we're also wired to experience it. So when a sedentary lifestyle doesn't supply us with a sufficient dose of pain that we would encounter surviving the elements, we start to develop issues. We develop anxiety, we gain weight, we feel sluggish due to a lack of intrinsic motivation triggered by natural stress. The pull to avoid pain is so strong that we naturally avoid painful conversations, especially ones that question our core belief systems. Our psyche needs to protect our sense of safety, security, and stability. I've had countless conversations with people trying to get them to understand the concept of Bitcoin and the facade of freedom we're born into. Almost immediately, their eyes start to glaze over, they get overwhelmed, confused, and they usually find a polite excuse to leave the conversation. Makes sense. Why risk participating in this uncomfortable conversation? Where's the value? There's a reason Bitcoiners religiously use the term orange pill as an analogy to the red pill from The Matrix. In the movie, they explain to Neo that you can't just unplug someone from the Matrix to get them to wake up. If you did, their mind would suffer a cognitive split in reality so severe that they would immediately start to freak out, unable to stabilize and root in reality. In fact, there are multiple instances in the film where Neo starts to panic and rejects the reality presented all around him. With Morpheus as his guide, he goes through a deprogramming process, and it starts with a conceptual understanding of the Matrix Neo experiences every day, what he believes to be his real life. The life he can see, the one he can sense. Neo then progresses through multiple realities of embodied experience. He exits the Matrix to view it with objectivity, then re-enters various simulations with fresh awareness that he is indeed participating in a simulation. So it's a brilliant analogy for where things stand today. The simple version of deprogramming goes like this. All money is an illusion, a language, a collective belief system based on perception, rooted in the instinctual pursuit of survival. So what does that mean exactly? Early humans needed to stick together to survive. At some point, they began to barter as a way to cooperate to increase odds of survival for all parties involved. An entire system of trade for goods and services developed, eventually culminating in the use of gold as money. Gold had value because it is a rare, indestructible conductor of energy in a dense, divisible form factor that could be transported easily across trade routes of ancient civilizations. With all the effort it took to mine gold, people who didn't personally even need gold sought after it anyway to benefit from the convenient network effect of using it for trade. Banks and governments began borrowing and lending gold, issuing paper currencies as redeemable proof of ownership, representing a weighted quantity of gold stored in the bank's secured vault. Banks inevitably printed more paper than the amount of gold in the vaults needed to back up the paper, eventually severing the peg between paper currency and gold. With limited gold and endless amounts of paper, banks and governments printed paper to infinity, causing everyone to flock to digital currencies like Bitcoin. With the entire world economy running on the internet, the cost of surveillance and enforcement dropped to the lowest levels in human history, providing a vast, desperate, and increasingly compliant working class willing to work for imaginary credits on a computer screen. Unprecedented power was extracted from the working class, from building the pyramids to coding the metaverse, until eventually a few people started to wake up. And when they did, they made a mass exodus from Egypt and left the Matrix. If you felt uncomfortable at any point during the past few minutes, that's good. That means you're a living, breathing being, and your brain is trying to keep you safe. And that's a note.